Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Right now at 5, Congressman Kevin McCarthy takes on his Democratic challenger, Kim Mangon, for a debate in our 17 News studios. A look at the matchup as the country prepares to watch the final presidential debate tonight.
A bizarre turn of events after an arrest at a local political rally this weekend when the suspect escapes and pretends to be an FBI agent. We'll explain.
Senate Democrats threatening to boycott today's vote on Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett. But could that change the outcome? We'll take a look. This is Thursday, October 22nd, 2020. Good morning. It is 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher. And another nice day out there, but we're still waiting for that cool down.
I think we're getting closer, though. Let's turn things over to Kevin Charette, who has a look at our forecast in the Pinpoint Weather Center on this Thursday morning. Good morning, Kev.
Well, we didn't hit 90 degrees yesterday, so that started the cool down, and today will be much cooler than that, and the weekend is looking great. Let's take you outside right now, and we're in the lower 60s right now. Bakersfield at 61 degrees with no winds out there right now. Visibility good at 10 miles. As we take a look at your hour-by-hour forecast for today, and you can see throughout the afternoon we will be rising to about 84, so a nice temperature there. And then up in the mountains, 50 degrees right now, west wind at 7 miles on the visibility. And as we take a look at the hour-by-hour here, you can see upper 50s by 9 a.m., and then we're looking at some 70s throughout the afternoon. We'll talk more about the cool down coming up in just a little bit. For now, back over to you.
All right, thanks, Kevin. New here at Sunrise. A bizarre turn of events in the case of a man arrested by Bakersfield police for shooting paint gun pellets into a crowd during a local Trump rally. 35-year-old Aaron Anderson was arrested Sunday for firing a paintball gun filled with marbles into the crowd, hitting 2 people after getting into an argument. The Bakersfield Police Department says he was taken to jail, but complained about medical issues and was taken to Kern Medical. He then escaped the hospital. Tuesday, officers from the Gridley Police Department in Northern California say they pulled Anderson over in a black Chevrolet Tahoe for a vehicle code violation. Police say Anderson had a hat on his dashboard that read FBI, and when questioned, claimed to be a special agent who was, quote, hunting a violent pedophile. Anderson also told the Gridley officers that he had pepper spray, a taser, and other weapons in the SUV. Police say they also noticed he had a pair of handcuffs. After a brief investigation, Gridley police determined Anderson was not, in fact, a special agent and arrested him. They also found a replica sawed-off shotgun, a billy club, 68 caliber rubber bullets, multiple CO2 cartridges, a machete, and a taser flashlight. After all was said and done, Anderson was booked into the Butte County Jail for weapons violations and impersonating a peace officer. His bail was set at $1.5 million.
New and tragic details this morning after a child was killed and a man hospitalized after a motorcycle crash. It happened on Kern River Road just before 6:45 last night in front of Hillcrest Memorial Park. Police say the motorcyclist lost control and crashed, but he and the 12-year-old were ejected. The child died at the scene. Police say the 51-year-old man was hospitalized with moderate injuries. CHP officers say they believe excessive speed was a factor in this crash. And officials have released the name of the man killed in a motorcycle crash south of Ridgecrest. The sheriff's office says 44-year-old Corey Hofstetter was killed after crashing his motorcycle into a semi-truck on Monday afternoon on Highway 395 at Garlic Road. The California Highway Patrol is investigating what caused the crash.
5:03, and now to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic in Kern County. Kern Public Health announced 79 new COVID-19 cases and 2 new deaths yesterday. COVID-19 has now claimed the lives of 415 people in Kern County since the start of the pandemic. Nearly 11,000 people are currently recovering at home, while 29 remain isolated in the hospital with more serious conditions. To date, the county has seen more than 33,000 positive cases of COVID-19. As many states continue to see a surge in new coronavirus cases, the CDC has released new guidance about what it considers close contact. Previously, it was defined as spending 15 minutes within 6 feet of someone infected with the virus. The update changes that to a person who's been within 6 feet of an infected person for a total of at least 15 minutes in a day. That includes multiple but brief encounters, 1 or 2 minutes at a time. The new change in guidance means you should still keep at least 6 feet of social distance, wear a mask, and limit exposure to others to just a few minutes.
This increases the importance of what is a high-risk exposure, and were you frankly close to anybody that was positive for COVID-19 for any period of time?
Health experts continue to advise the public to stay vigilant as many recent large outbreaks have been tied to close gatherings. We're gearing up for a scary good time. Our annual 17 News at Sunrise spectacular event is almost here. It's happening virtually this year because of COVID-19. You can enter your pictures of your child's Halloween costume for a chance to win prizes from local sponsors. Prizes include a gift card to Snyder's, a laptop, tickets to Murray Family Farms, and much more. Head to kget.com and click on the contest tab to enter by midnight next Tuesday. Then tune into Sunrise next Friday, October 30th to see our winners.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Welcome back to your 17 Business Watch. Consumers are expected to spend less this holiday season, and they're crossing themselves off the list first. The National Retail Federation is predicting consumers will spend just shy of $1,000 on gifts, holiday food, decorations, as well as an additional non-gift purchase for themselves or their families. That's $50 less than last year. Nearly all of that drop came from people who say they are hesitant to buy items for themselves or their families that are not gifts while they are holiday shopping, even if there's a big sale. Sam's Club is introducing a virtual tour of the Griswold house, made famous in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Where's Justin Jansen when I need him? You can shop Sam's Club's top gifts, toys, food, and more, all presented inside Griswold's house. Look for the squirrel and the Christmas tree and Aunt Bethany's cat still wrapped up in a gift box. You can take the tour and, as Cousin Eddie says, pick out something real nice. Many of us have become accustomed to seeing our reflections a lot more frequently than before with the increase in video calls due to social distancing. And as a result, plastic surgeons are making a little extra scratch due to an increase in self-conscious attitudes. Wendy Woolfolk explains.
The Zoom effect is real.
Mirrors don't lie. What about the millions of computer and phone cameras people are using for video conference calls while working from home?
So we find flaws, and they're amplified because we get to stare at them a lot more.
The Zoom effect.
So we're in a culture that tends to want to correct things.
Doctors are seeing an increase in facial injectables like Botox and even newer procedures that are much less invasive than a facelift.
Morpheus treatment is a form of bipolar radiofrequency treatment.
Doctors say patients can see contour improvements and tightening of the lower face with minimal downtime.
If you want to avoid the plastic surgeon, there's a hidden gem for Zoom calls. If you're using a computer, you go to settings and then video. If you're on a phone, you go up here to meetings and then settings. Then you hit touch up my appearance. It doesn't fix all of the flaws, but there's a subtle softness that makes a huge difference, and it's free.
There's COVID-19 and there's gaining the COVID-19, and many of us have.
After being locked out of gyms for at least a couple of months, some patients want to fix more than their face. Whether overcoming the Zoom effect or gaining the COVID-19, the best advice? Everything in moderation for a healthy body and mind. Wendy Woolfolk, NBC News.
Welcome back here at 525. A living memento of a loved one struck down in a storm. Melissa Millette explains how a community banded together to help a grieving family through a tragic event.
This is the Daddy Tree, a willow proudly planted in 2014 by Staff Sergeant Jeffrey Burleson.
He had planted a very special tree that he loved in the front of our house.
But in 2016, Staff Sergeant Burleson lost his life to combat PTSD. So that tree stood as a beautiful memorial. In April of this year, though, a windstorm.
I ran to the window and half the tree was like almost blown over, like half of the roots had come out.
Celine and daughter Briley were panicked. Celine went online asking for advice, help. Friend and Army veteran Tim Enright.
Immediately there was a pack of individuals that jumped in, from arborists to landscapers.
A crew of people who didn't know Celine showed up, but the tree could not be saved.
It was traumatic for us, losing that tree is losing another part of him.
Just when they had to take it down,
bam, I get a direct message from Ryan saying, hey, here's what I do.
Enter Ryan Donnelly. He's a former Marine and owns Bench Lane Design. Ryan takes wood that is meaningful and lovingly transforms it from that raw piece into a memory. In this case, pens. 9-year-old Briley loves them.
I wrote my name with it.
Sometimes Briley doesn't have a ton of memories of her dad. And so when we received the pens, I got the chance to tell her how much Daddy loved pens. That was maybe something she would have never known.
Though the pens are special, they came with this letter, a reminder from Ryan.
Your daddy's memory does not live within a tree or a pen or any tangible item. The memory lives in you, within your heart, within you.
And within the hearts of friends, new and old, that helped Celine and Briley plant this, Daddy Tree 2.0, a flowering cherry.
All right, Kev, thanks so much. 17 News is your local election headquarters, and the Senate Judiciary Committee is set to meet in about 30 minutes. The plan was to vote on Judge Amy Coney Barrett's nomination to the Supreme Court at 10 a.m., but that's all up in the air. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer announced a planned boycott of the vote yesterday, so the Republican-controlled Judiciary Committee is expected to change the rules if necessary to recommend Barrett's nomination to the full Senate, and then vote shortly after 6 a.m. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said this week that the Senate will hold a final vote on Barrett's nomination on Monday. We have new disturbing information this morning about the presidential election. U.S. intelligence confirms Iran and Russia are trying to meddle in the election and influence your vote. Tracy Potts has those overnight developments, plus preparations for tonight's final presidential debate.
Alex, good morning. Good morning, everyone. The White House said in a statement overnight that it's because the president told the FBI and other law enforcement agencies and the intelligence community to be on the lookout for this type of foreign interference. That's why it was thwarted. But it's not at all clear this morning that it was.
Good evening. The president has...
Intelligence chiefs briefed Congress today on the new development that Iran and Russia obtained voter information and that Iran was behind emails to Florida voters urging them to switch parties and vote Republican.
These actions are desperate attempts by desperate adversaries.
We are not going to tolerate foreign interference in our elections. You should be confident that your vote counts.
Iran denied the allegations, calling them absurd. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called them disturbing.
If people don't believe the elections are fair, that's the beginning of the end of this democracy.
Separately, a cybersecurity firm says hackers are selling public voter registration data for 186 million Americans. The news coming on the eve of the final presidential debate.
Iran doesn't want to let me win. China doesn't want to let me win.
President Trump previewing tonight's attack on Joe Biden.
If Biden wins, China will own the United States. Will own it.
The New York Times reports President Trump had a secret Chinese bank account.
Can you imagine if I had had a secret Chinese bank account when I was running for re-election? You think Fox News might have been a little concerned about that? They would have called me Beijing Barry.
President Obama hitting the campaign trail for Joe Biden in Pennsylvania and again this weekend in Florida. Florida, that's also where the president's headed back after tonight's debate. I'm Tracy Potts, 17 News.
That brings us to our 17 interactive feedback poll. This morning we're asking you, are you concerned about foreign meddling in the 2020 presidential election? You can call or text us at 661-888-4617. Press 1 if you are concerned, 2 if not. You can also text, tweet, email, or Facebook your comments to us. Once again, our interactive feedback phone line is 661-888-4617, and we'll air some of your comments and have a look at the results coming up a little bit later this morning.
5:35 now. KGET aired the last of 4 debates featuring candidates in some of the major races affecting Kern County last night. 17's Taylor Schaub has a wrap-up of the debate as Congressman McCarthy took on his challenger, Kim Mangon. Taylor?
Well, you've seen their campaign ads. Now you've heard them square off face-to-face. So how did the candidates for Kern's 2 congressional races fare live on TV 17? Take a look back. 2 nights, 2 hotly contested debates for the future of Kern County's congressional footprint in Washington. Wednesday evening, Kevin McCarthy and his Democratic challenger, Kim Magon, squared off in the 17 News Center, outlining their immediate goals for office.
Short term, it's jobs and the economy and defeating COVID.
So we need to start training our people and investing in our people and our small businesses.
Magon started the evening by grading her opponent's performance during his last 2 years in the district, an area that includes much of Bakersfield, Porterville to the north, Ridgecrest to the east, and parts of Lancaster to the south.
My loyalty is to this district.
I'm sorry, I'm giving you an F.
Among the topics discussed, the economy, oil and ag, and the coronavirus pandemic, including if they take a potential vaccine.
If the scientists and medical professionals, not politicians spouting a bunch of hot air, say that it's safe and it works, yes, I will.
Even no politician has a say whether a vaccine comes forward. These are companies that have done vaccines before. This is the FDA that goes through. It'll be safe and it'll be effective.
Meanwhile, outside TV 17, supporters from both sides swarm the building.
We support him no matter where he is and what he does because he supports us.
She's a proven leader, and she's a friend of labor. Boxer bill.
If you don't mind. 24 hours prior, 21st Congressional District candidates T.J. Cox and David Valadeo took part in their own live debate on KGET. Much of that debate centered around the heated attack ads from both campaigns inundating our airwaves.
Mr. Valadeo, let the congressman finish, please.
Sorry, Donald. It's my time on the floor, okay?
The fiery face-to-face discussion also touched on immigration reform, the possibility of another coronavirus relief bill, and defunding law enforcement. Both debates giving potential voters an insight into the future of their districts and the future of the Golden Empire. This all, of course, leading into tonight's main event, the final presidential debate at 6 p.m., again airing right here on TV 17. In studio, Taylor Schaub, 17 News.
Taylor, thank you. Now to the latest in the battle for the ballot boxes as a Sacramento Superior Court judge sides with the California Republican Party, ruling it does not have to hand over the names and addresses of voters who use GOP-sponsored unofficial ballot boxes.
There will be a full day in hell before the Republican Party voluntarily hands over to the Secretary of State the names of voters who entrusted their ballots to us.
Yesterday's decision comes a day after the state's Democratic Attorney General and Secretary of State sued the California GOP. Through the lawsuit, the two are attempting to get the party to comply with an investigation into unauthorized ballot drop boxes. A spokesperson for the Attorney General said it continues to review the matter and will continue to take steps, including in court where necessary, to ensure every voter who casts their ballot will have their voices heard.
And now to your 17 Court Watch. Rafi Danielian, a man accused in a deadly shooting in Rosamond, pleaded not guilty to murder. That plea entered yesterday, the same day the Kern County Sheriff's Office confirmed Danielian is the man seen in the Ring camera video running from the scene with a gun in his hand after Lavelle Myers was shot at a home on Grandview Terrace. KCSO has not released a motive but says Danielian shot Myers over some dispute. He's back in court in December. And yesterday, a jury convicted Matthew Norwood for the death of his 2-month-old son. In 2018, Abel Norwood suffered skull fractures, broken ribs, and a broken leg. He died about a week later. The baby's mother, Brittany Collins, was convicted by a separate jury today of second-degree murder. Prosecutors argue she's responsible for the baby's death for leaving Abel in Norwood's care in spite of his drug use and history of hurting the child.
The Bakersfield City Council voted unanimously to expand the city's shot spotter detection system. The gunshot detection system was first implemented in 2018 and is used by the Bakersfield Police Department to respond to shooting locations more quickly and accurately. Last night, the City Council approved a 3-year agreement with ShotSpotter, as well as an expansion of the system to cover an additional 3 square mile area. As a result of the ShotSpotter program, as it stands now, 37 guns were confiscated in the first year and 50 people were arrested in connection to 33 different crimes.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.